The Houston Texans have to find a coach, and it's gotten very quiet. Hadn't heard a whole lot of names. You know what they're going to do. You know they're going to do it. I know they're going to do it. The news today that Josh McCown's getting a second interview. He's going to be the next coach of the Texans. I'm not reporting it. I'm just applying common sense and detecting which way the wind is blowing. A guy who has never coached at the college or high school. No, high school is where he has. College or pro level in any capacity, never coached. Oh, he's played quarterback in the NFL for all these. Well, okay, where are all the other quarterbacks that have been? Where are all the other why didn't Phillip Rivers get offered one of these head coaching jobs? Phillip Rivers was a starting quarterback all those years. Why wasn't he offered a head coaching job as soon as he retired? Why hasn't Peyton Manning been offered a head coaching job? Well, how about Tom Brady? Well, he's basically the coach of the Buccaneers. Why aren't we talking about the possibility he's going to retire and go coach one of these teams? It is ridiculously unconventional. And I like Josh McCown. He's a friend of PFT. I like him. I respect him. But good Lord, he's not fit to be the head coach of the Houston Texans. Well, you'll eat your words. If he's good, yes, I will. I'll pour him in a bowl and I'll put milk on top of him and I'll eat him. But come on, it's offensive to anyone who has done the work necessary to learn the job. You know, there's so many people nowadays, Miles, that want to be airlifted to the top of the mountain and they don't want to climb. They don't realize how much you learn by climbing the mountain. Especially as a coach, you see how your boss handles situations. You see all the different ways things are done. When you're a player, you're not privy to all that. You're only privy to part of it. You're not privy to everything that goes on. And maybe he's picked up plenty, but there's a far cry from picking up things during 15, 16 years in the NFL and being ready to be a head coach. A head coach, not quarterback's coach, a freaking head coach. I can't believe they're going to do it, but this is what happens when Cal McNair is the Sultan and Jack Easterby is Jafar, and he's got that staff with the glowing eyes, and he keeps it on Cal McNair. He's got him bamboozled. And Cal McNair is going to sign off on whatever Easterby wants to do. And Easterby and McCown are buddies, and Easterby's getting the guy he wants, and Casario's getting the puppet he wants because Casario got him through the headset, just like he did with David Culley. And then a year from now, they'll say they had philosophical differences and fire Josh McCown.
I don't think they'll fire Josh McCown. I think that they're going to go at least 2 to 3 years with Josh McCown. Look, I want to be fair because, people have said, we don't have as many outside the box hires and, we don't do these things like you see in the NBA and sometimes in Major League Baseball where guys of different backgrounds, they get a shot to do different things and they turn into be very successful at whatever it is that they're trying to do. But one of my favorite sayings is sometimes things are outside the box because that's where they're supposed to be. And with this, I don't get it. I really don't. Like, what is it that Josh McCown brings to the table that other guys do not have? Right? When it comes, is it a scheme thing? Like, what scheme does he have? What scheme is he going to run? Has he ever put together a playbook? What staff is he going to assemble? How is he going to evaluate what an offensive lineman should look like at right guard or left guard? How is he going to evaluate what the nose tackles should look like? Is he going to in a 3-4 or a 4-3 defensive system, or what the sub packages should look like, or how are you going to defend guys? How do you see the game from a 22-man perspective? What does he know about the special teams that your special teams coordinator has to come in and do all these different things? How do you set the agenda? Like, if you've never been a coach at any level other than high school where you were a volunteer coach, that's the concern that I would have. And I guess, the Texans can help him and put the staff together around him in some ways, like they made David Culley keep Tim Kelly as offensive coordinator last year. But it's hard for me to understand how you're going to set the agenda from a scheme standpoint when you've never really done that before. And the other thing is, and you talk about guys and climbing the ladder and all that, like, where are other guys who would ever get this opportunity, especially a candidate of color, right? You would never, ever, ever see that happen. And I think that's another thing where you're looking at this and you're just like, what in the world are the Texans doing? And if they're going to do it, I want them to do it. And I want them to stand behind their convictions and just freaking do it. Hire them today. Just go on ahead and do it. Because I know you want to, Texans. Go on. Go ahead. Do it. I dare you.
Well, I agree with everything you said, 100%. And it's almost like they're trying to take some of the power, take some of the cachet, take some of the sizzle and substance out of the coaching job. Like, treat it like an interchangeable part. Like, if you've got a general manager who's going to be the puppet master, who the puppet is doesn't really matter, because Nick Caserio is the shadow head coach, right? He's the shadow head coach.
How coaching works, especially in the NFL. I mean, think of the 4 coaches that we have this weekend. All right, you got Andy Reid, you've got Kyle Shanahan, you've got Sean McVay, you've got Zach Taylor. You think those guys aren't leaders of men? Like, those guys all were calling offensive plays this weekend. All right, those guys all had some level of experience in calling plays in some sort of way or form or fashion before they became head coaches. They saw it. They were in these leadership roles, whether it was in their position coach room or as coordinators. So I don't understand. Like, where do you think that he's going to have the experience necessary to lead the room? I mean, and yeah, if you're in that job for a certain amount of time, you're probably going to get it and you're going to pick things up. But like, when you're coming in, it's like, what sense of confidence do you have? And I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
You made a perfect point, though. You know, Jerry Jones had no qualifications, experience, or skill or credentials to be the general manager of the Cowboys. But he was the owner of the team in 1989. Yeah. He made himself the GM. And if the world, from a media standpoint, was the way then that it is now, he would have been shouted down. It would have been, you can't make you buy the team and you're going to be the GM? Are you freaking kidding me? And that's what this is like. And it's an opportunity being handed someone with the chance to learn the job on the fly, with the chance to have one of those 32 whistles. There's only 32 of them. They're handing it to someone who hasn't put in the time, hasn't paid the dues, hasn't proven he deserves it. And yeah, he could become a good coach, but he's going to get the on-the-job experience at a time when that job should go to somebody else who's already put in the time and already proven they know how to do it. There are more than 32 people who are more qualified and deserving to be an NFL head coach than Josh McCown right now. That's the problem. And somebody asked me, well, why aren't other coaches speaking out, either on or off the record? Why isn't there a pushback? You know why? They want the Texans to continue to be bad. When your enemy is dancing on the edge of the cliff, you don't yell, hey, you're about to plummet to your death. You let them keep dancing. That's why no one has said anything. They want the Texans to continue to be the Texans. This is another team you can write off. You know, there's a thought there's only 10 teams in the NFL that any given year you have to worry about, and the rest of them, forget about it. The Texans are in the forget about it category, and Josh McCown is not going to pull them to the category of who we must take seriously. You know, every team's got to have a CEO. Who's the CEO? Who's in charge? It's Nick Caserio behind the curtain, like Great and Powerful Wizard of Oz, with the levers and the buttons and the, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.